Welcome everyone who is joining us for a very, very special edition of Baseball for All's live Q&A today. My name is Lena Park and I head up the media, content, and some of the programming aspects of Baseball for All, and I'll be your moderator today. And joining us, we've also got Baseball for All's founder, Justine Siegal, with us as well. Hi, Justine.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Kim.
Hey, Justine, no problem.
So we are so incredibly honored to have the legendary Kim Ng on with us here today. For over 2 decades, she has been breaking barriers for women in baseball, especially Asian American women, and so many accomplishments to her name. The first woman to present a salary arbitration case in the MLB, of which we should note she won. The youngest assistant GM in the major leagues when she worked for the Yankees and then moved on to become the VP and assistant GM of the Dodgers. And she's now the highest ranking Asian American female baseball exec in the MLB, as she is the senior vice president of baseball operations. We're so thrilled that you could join us today, Kim. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to see all these great faces.
Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of these faces look familiar, Kim, from various MLB events that you guys have hosted, like the Trailblazer series and the Breakthrough series and Grit. We've also got girls and women and other coaches from all over the Baseball for All community here, with us from as far west as Alaska and Hawaii to as far east as New Hampshire and Florida and kind of everywhere in between as well. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Let's start off with Olivia Pichardo. Olivia, I think you're on mute. There you go.
Hey, Olivia.
Yeah, hi, I'm Olivia. I'm from Queens, New York. And my question is, what are some obstacles that you see for women making it to the minor leagues or the major leagues? And is there anything that they can do themselves to increase their chances, or will it just take time for people to be willing to accept this?
Good question. Olivia, how old are you?
I'm 16.
Okay, great. And do you know where I grew up?
No.
Queens.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool.
Yeah, very cool. So, listen, I think the major obstacle at this point is really just people understanding that girls and women play, and that, you guys are on a very good level, and that, there should be opportunities for everybody. Do I think that it'll happen someday? I do. I really do. And in terms of you guys, I mean, the more opportunities there are for you at the younger levels, I think the more of an understanding people will have as to just how good you guys are. The more that you are competing with the boys, and again, that has to do with opportunity. The more that you're competing with the boys, we have expression in sports and expression in baseball that you want to play up. So you want to play against great competition, and no matter what sport or what area you're in. So playing up against the boys, etc., is great, and that's getting you good experience. And as you get older, they're facts are facts. They are going to be, for the most part, stronger than you guys, but it doesn't mean that you can't play with them. It just means, sometimes it means you have to be a little bit smarter, and I believe that is easily done. I just think that people have to get more used to the idea. I think that's the only limitation at this point, in my mind.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. A reminder for you guys, when you ask your question, just be sure to let her know, Kim, know your name and also your age, so she knows kind of who she's talking to as well. We're gonna have the next question go to Taylor Daniels. Go ahead, Taylor.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm 17 and I'm from Winnetka, Illinois. And my question is, what advice would you give someone who wants to work in the front office or in analytics? I'm a junior in high school, and I would also love to hear any advice for what to study in college to get into those fields.
Okay. Winnetka. Guess where I went to college? University of Chicago. Not Northwestern, but close. So, Taylor, in terms of getting into the front office, look, I think the earlier that you can start, the better off you're going to be. And I think, if you can get in at any level, in any part of an organization, whether it's major league or a major league organization or a minor league organization, the better off you're going to be. Even if it's being on the grounds crew, even if it's being in the ticket booth, which is not, very close to being in the analytics department. But the thing that I want you all to understand is it's about your network, right? And it's about the people that you know. And I'm going to just try and be very real with you guys. Look, a lot of the times, you guys face it on the field as well. People see you and they're going to think certain things, and maybe they're not going to think that you're up to the task, right? So a lot of this is going to have to be, revolve around people getting to know you, you getting to know them, having your network so that everyone knows what you're capable of. The resume absolutely is going to help. The earlier you get into, like I said, an organization, the better. In terms of coursework, right now, are you pretty good at math? Okay, all right, that's good. You need to take, all your math courses. You need to take statistics courses, computer science, programming, whatever you can get your hands on. I'd be reading stuff like Fangraphs, Baseball Prospectus, websites of that nature, so that you can really get familiar with the lingo that is used, the terms, the terminology, the different concepts. And, and look, I will say this too. While you want to get into an organization, it's not always the be all end all. So in other words, if you can get an internship being, a computer programmer, that is going to help you quite a bit, because then in your interview with a baseball organization, you can talk about how you were actually an intern, in the computer programming department. So I think that'll help you a lot. And, a lot of this is going to be how you position yourself, how you talk about yourself, right? A lot of times we don't like to brag about ourselves, but you have to get out there and you have to be assertive, and you have to tell people what you're interested in. And you have to tell people why you can do the job, why you are the one that is going to take this bull by the horns and get the job done. Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great question, you guys. The next question is going to be coming from Hannah Messmer. Go ahead, Hannah.
Hi, my name is Hannah Messmer, and I'm 12 years old, and I'm wondering if the MLB has ever considered hosting a girls' baseball game to help promote women in baseball.
We have thought about it. Hannah, I appreciate your question. We have thought about hosting girls baseball. So I'm not sure if you have been to our events, but we've had the Trailblazers event, which is hosted in California. And then we've also had the Breakthrough Series. And this year, we were going to add the Elite Development Invitational. And so those are maybe not games in the way that you mean them, but they're definitely events for girls. We've over the last several years developed a partnership with USA Baseball, particularly with the women's national team. We've talked about World Cup, and what that would mean if it was to be in the United States. And, there was, we had very preliminary discussions about perhaps, hosting. But yeah, I think, over the last several years, I think what hopefully you've seen is that MLB has gotten a lot more involved in girls and women's baseball. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it happened sometime in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okie dokes. Our next question is going to be going to Sarah Doman. Sarah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sarah Doman. I'm from Syracuse, New York. And my question is, growing up, did you always want to be involved with baseball?
Sarah, thanks for your question. No, not always. Back then, I didn't even really know that there were front office jobs. Probably the closest I came was when I found out that somebody fined a baseball player named Lou Piniella. I really liked Lou Piniella on the Yankees. I found out that he got fined because he didn't meet his weight clause in his contract. And so really it's somebody in the front office, most likely the general manager or assistant general manager, who is deciding whether Lou Piniella makes that weight clause in his contract. That's the closest I came, probably when I was about, 11 or 12 years old. But after that, I didn't really think about it. Sports business has really become much more at the forefront, I would say, in the last 10 or 15 years. And I was a kid way longer than that ago. So I hadn't really thought about it. The first time I thought about it was when I was in college. And I had to do a big paper for my senior thesis. And I decided, and so at the time I was going to the University of Chicago, where I was on the softball team. And I decided that I wanted to do my big paper on something having to do with sports. And I found something called Title IX. So do a lot of you know what Title IX is?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Title IX was a law that was put into place in 1972. And basically what it said was, if the federal government gives your institution, so most likely a school or organization, if you receive funds from the federal government, you cannot discriminate based on sex, okay, based on what your gender is. And so obviously you guys being who you are and some of the things that you've faced, being ball players, you know what that means. And that was something that really interested me. So that's when I really started to figure out, hey, maybe I can have a job in sports somehow, because I love doing the paper and I love doing the research, and especially the topic, girls in sports, girls in college athletics. And so, I really started to look into what types of jobs there were out there in sports. And that's how I got lucky and got an internship with the White Sox.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great question, Sarah. We've got another question coming from Kate, who's from Southern California. Kate?
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm 13 years old from Southern California. So do you think that there will be more opportunities for women in baseball on the field or in executive offices?
Hey, Kate, can you repeat the last part of the question? You trailed off.
So do you think that there will be more opportunities for women on the field or in the executive offices?
Yeah. So Kate, where in Southern California are you from?
Temecula. It's like an hour and a half from LA.
Okay, very good. I used to work for the Dodgers, so I am very jealous that you're in Southern California. I'm in New York.
Yes, I love the Dodgers.
Yeah, I miss LA quite a bit. I do think that there will be more opportunities. I actually think that right now we're seeing a nice spike in terms of opportunities in the front offices. MLB has made a real concerted effort to really provide opportunities and to get our clubs really interested in or more active in really trying to hire women in the front office. We have what's called a Take the Field program that we've put on the last 2 winters. And that basically introduces, I want to say there were probably 40 or 50 women that we had this past December. Introduces women to a lot of different areas in the front office. So scouting, and not necessarily in the office, but coaching. We introduce them to analytics. We introduce them to things like roster composition. So we're really trying to educate a lot of the women that we come across, great applicants. And we also have what's called a fellowship pipeline program. Okay, so when you guys are out there after college, you should come definitely banging on our door, because we have all these great programs. And the fellowship program is we get clubs to volunteer to take minorities or women and put them in really good positions within the front office, within baseball operations, to learn about everything that goes on. Okay, and so those right there, I think we had 20 clubs participate last year. And the one thing that we saw was that the clubs were very interested in hiring women. So that's what we're seeing in the office. In terms of on the field, I think I mentioned, I do think that there are opportunities coming, more at your age group from MLB. And we're also seeing, a few coaches pop up here and there. We have a coach with San Francisco Giants now. We have one with the Chicago Cubs. So we're really, it's actually, I think the upcoming Baseball Digest is going to have 2 of the women coaches on its cover. First time ever. So I think, I think you guys, man, you guys are so lucky, because we are really coming into this time where there are going to be, by the time you guys are ready, there are going to be so many more opportunities out there. And there are really, a lot of people banging down the doors for you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, the next question is going to be coming from Olivia Keene. Go ahead, Olivia.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Olivia, and I'm 16, and I'm from Oregon. And my question was, what is like a mentality or like a focus that you had to get where you are today? Like, let's say at our age, being like around high schoolers, what is one mentality that we should have going into trying to get where you are?
I'm going to give you guys a word that a lot of people use it negatively, but I think it just depends on how you look at it, and that's the word stubborn. You can be real stubborn about things, and maybe it'll be taken the wrong way, but I think generally in life, there's a part of stubbornness, which means that you're not going to take no for an answer, right? And that is one thing that has really gotten me to be, as far as I've gone, from the very first time that I was interviewed for a job in baseball. I was just really stubborn about not taking no. I didn't get the first internship I interviewed for. I was told that I didn't get it. And I didn't understand why. I knew I interviewed really well, and I was so enthusiastic about it. I know my resume was good. I know I had done a lot of good work. But they said, listen, we gave it to somebody else. And I said, okay, I understand. But then I thought to myself, well, how can I figure this out? How can I get what I would like to do? And so I called them back and I said, well, how about I work for free? And I caught the guy I interviewed with off guard. He was like, okay, well, let me talk to some people here about it. And he went back and talked, and I think they eventually ended up giving me the internship, And I think what really shed some light on me for them was that I was willing to go out there and do something like that. Like, not many people do that. And I think they thought, you know what? She really wants this. She's qualified. She's got a great resume. She's got good recommendations. Yeah, she deserves this. Let's give it to her. Let's give it a shot. So, I think given what you guys do and pursuing the sport that you love, despite, maybe people telling you shouldn't, there's definitely a stubbornness there. And I think, I give you guys, and I think many others do as well, give you major kudos for standing up for what you want to do. And I would just say, you got to keep on going. You got to keep on doing it. Yeah, you got to sometimes you have to come up with some creative solutions to really get to where you want to go. And you have to figure out how bad you want it. And once you figure out how bad you want it, you got to figure out what you're willing to do to go get it. Right? And sometimes it's going to take doing something that is out of the ordinary, off the wall. People might call you crazy. Well, you know what? There's worse things they could call you. So I would just, be persistent, be a little stubborn. That's okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great question, Olivia. All right, we've got another question here from Alexia from Ohio. Alexia?
Hi, my name is Alexia and I'm 10. And my question is, why did you want to be an assistant general manager?
Hi, Alexia. Thanks for asking that question. So, for a long time, I didn't even know I wanted to be an assistant general manager. All I knew is that I wanted to be in baseball. And all I knew was how to work hard, right? So it didn't even matter what project I was working on or what task they gave to me or how small it seemed to be. I was just happy to be there. I mean, when you think about it, who gets to go to work at a baseball stadium? Not many people, right? And it's really cool. So, I didn't worry about what was down the road. All I worried about was doing a good job. Doing any project that was put in front of me, doing it well. So when you guys are out there and you're warming up your arms, you want to think about every time you're going to hit, you're going to throw the ball right to your partner's glove. Hit her in the chest every single time. And when you do that, it'll then become a habit and it'll become routine. And that's how you get good. I was not worried about how far down the line, I was going to go or what was going to happen. I was just happy to be there and I did the best that I could. Now, when I got close to being an assistant GM and, my boss almost left the White Sox, which means I would have then, been in line for it. I think that's when, you don't want to be unprepared, right? So you have to then start thinking about it. But, really, I didn't even realize it was, a possibility until it was real close. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Alexia. All right, we've got another question here from Sophie from Maryland. Go ahead, Sophie.
Hey, I'm Sophie. I'm 15. My question is, what personal qualities do you think led you to your success in working in baseball? And this is kind of similar to Olivia's question.
Yeah, but that's okay. So we talked about stubbornness. It's negative and it's positive. I would say, you have to be somewhat assertive. And look, when I get resumes from young people, one thing that sets some resumes apart is when they say they've been an athlete, that they played whatever sport in high school or whatever sport in college. Doesn't even necessarily have to be baseball. But to me, when you say you're an athlete, that means you know what it is to be disciplined, to have a work ethic, to be able to perform under pressure. There are all of those things. So that's one thing that really helps me in determining, who I want to come work for me. So being an athlete means a lot of different things that are positive. So I mentioned being assertive. You have to tell people what you're interested in. A lot of times, listen, some of us are, I don't think I'm the most extroverted person. I'm not the most talkative person, but when there's something that I want and there's something that I want to work on, I let it be known, because that's what you have to do. It's nice when you have a great boss who will recognize you and, be so interested in you that he or she will give you all the great projects, but that doesn't always happen. So you have to be willing to go out there and ask for it yourselves. And sometimes we don't necessarily do that, but you have to train yourself to get out there and do it. And then I think one other thing that's helped me quite a bit is I don't ask why necessarily, I ask why not. And I think when you ask why not, it lets your imagination take over for a bit. Because sometimes I think we get so mired down in details or, in all the minutia that people talk about, all the petty things that people talk about, that sometimes we don't see the big picture. And I think you have to imagine sometimes, right? I mean, like 30 years ago, who would have thought there would ever be an assistant GM who was a woman? And it's like, well, girls don't do this. Why? Well, no, the question's not why. It's why not? Why can't they? Of course they can. That's not an answer, right? So that's another thing that's really helped me in my career.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Thanks, Sophie. All right, we've got another question here from Meredith, who is from Florida. Meredith?
Hi. So, were you ever told that you couldn't be involved with baseball? If so, then how did you mentally and physically move past that to get where you are today?
So I wasn't specifically told I couldn't be involved in baseball, but I was told that I couldn't be in certain meetings because maybe I didn't have anything to offer. And so listen, when you get out there in the working world, and even before that, a lot of the way all of this works is that you have to have respect. Okay, that's first and foremost, is you have to have respect for people. You have to have respect for the process. And so I think, the way I dealt with things like that was I wouldn't make a big stink in front of a lot of people, but what I would do is I would figure out who my friend was of the group. And I was lucky, and a lot of the time it was my boss. Or maybe it wasn't necessarily my boss, but it was someone who had a better position than me, but, who had some influence on the group. And I would take that person aside later and I'd say, look, I would really love to be in that meeting. And here's what I think I bring to the table. And this has to do with, what I was talking about in terms of being assertive, right? You don't want to be obnoxious about it. You want to be respectful, but you also want to make your case. That's why I think you guys should always make your case. Give evidence, give your opinion, and just lay out the facts. And so I would, in general, I would say to this person, look, I know I'm not included in the meeting. I understand that. But I just want to tell you, here's what I think I have to offer. I've worked on this project, X, Y, and Z, and here's the work I did on this, and here's the work I did on that. And, I think I can add a lot of value. And so once you've made the case for yourself, all they can do is say no, but at least you tried, right? So I think that has been something that has helped me along the way. And again, you have to do it in a respectful way, particularly when people are your bosses or, they're, have more authority than you, but you also have to speak up for yourself. So that's been a big one. And then you have to prove yourselves, by the way. When you get that opportunity, you have to be prepared, and you have to be over-prepared. And you have to prove everyone who didn't want you in that meeting, you have to prove them wrong. Okay, so you can't, I'm gonna, talk a little real here. You can't whine about it and then not be prepared and be ready to perform, right? Once you get in that meeting, then you got to show them why you should have been in that meeting in the first place. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great question and great insight on that. We're going to move on to Arden, who's also from Southern California. Arden, go ahead.
I read an article about you a bit ago, and it said that baseball never crossed your mind, and that the fact that you weren't even planning to start. What pushed you to start working in the baseball industry?
So baseball hadn't crossed my mind because, because honestly, you never saw women in baseball. I mean, that's a very honest answer. I wanted to be in sports, and I was looking at sports that, that had, that featured women, that, where I saw women. So that's why it never crossed my mind. But when I was in college, I did a lot of work in sports. So I was sports everything. I was sports editor of the yearbook. I was sports editor of the newspaper. I was the sports photographer. I was president of the Women's Athletic Association. If it had sports, I was doing it. And that's what I was talking about, that network, right? And the more people you know and the more people you talk to, the more they'll look out, the more people you'll have looking out for you. So, so a lot of the coaches on campus I knew because I would, take their pictures or I would write stories about them. And the Chicago White Sox called down to my campus looking for an intern. And no matter who in the athletic department you talked to, they all knew that I wanted to be in sports. So I'm trying to remember which coach took the call. One of the coaches took the call, and he then told my softball coach, hey, is Kim still trying to get in sports? And she's like, I don't know, I'll ask her. So she gave me a buzz, said, are you still looking to get in? I said, absolutely. And she said, well, the White Sox are looking for somebody, so get your resume down there. So I ran it down. I had 2 interviews. One of them I interviewed with a crotchety old guy with a big cigar, asking me what statistics I knew and all that. But I got the job. So, it was not necessarily something that I pursued my whole life, but it became an option because of my network. And once I got in, and, I loved baseball as a kid. So I was a huge Yankees fan. I could name the roster, the 19, I won't tell you which year, but of, all my Yankees teams as a kid, tell you their statistics and all that stuff. It just never entered my mind that I could really work in baseball until my coach asked me if I wanted to be an intern down there. So that's really how it fell into my lap. Like I told you, I interviewed twice. I got the internship, and then it turned into a full-time job. So I was really fortunate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right, we've got another question here from Rosie, who is from the Chicago area. Rosie?
I am Rosie. How did people react when you became?
Hey, Rosie, you're breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Okay. How did people react when you became senior vice president for baseball operations?
Well, I think there were some people that were really happy for me. A lot of them were my friends in the industry, friends that I had made over a long period of time. And then there were others that, grumbled. I can't believe a girl is going to be, and, a woman is going to be in this position, and, what's the world coming to? But, there were people who were for me and people who weren't so for me. But, one of the things, and this goes back to one of the other questions too, you're going to come up against a lot of tough people that don't want you around. But you know what? You have to have thick skin, and you have to say, okay, that's fine. You can think what you want to think, but I'm here. I'm going to do a great job, and I'm here to stay. You will come up against opposition a lot, but it doesn't mean that you stop trying. It doesn't. In my mind, the way that I've gone about this is you have to win people over, right? You have to win people over. That's either with your ability, with how you perform, your productivity, your personality. Personality is a big deal, and make no mistake about it, that you are going to have people who don't want you there. But, I believe that they can be won over. And we're in a little bit different time now, and I think people are more receptive. But when I was starting out, I had lots of older scouts that in their minds I was taking a job that one of their friends could have had. But I think as they got to know me, and as they got to as I started to really, it took a bit, but as I started to produce work and show what I could do, they thought, you know what, okay, Kim brings something different to the table, and she's respectful, and she loves the game. She thinks about things in a little bit different way, and it really started to they really started, I think, to gain a respect for me. And that's what, whether you're on the field or off the field, whether you're, in a, playing at a tournament, whether you're, working an internship or working your way up the ladder. I think that's just life. But, in this industry, it's a little bit tougher, as we know. But, those are the things that you have to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, we're going to move right along to our next question, who's going to be coming from Maggie in New Hampshire. Maggie?
Hi, it's nice to see you again. I'm Maggie Fox. I'm 14. I live in New Hampshire. What helped MLB front offices and teams invest in girls baseball and events?
Maggie, I think I will tell you that there was some restructuring done at Major League Baseball, and they formed a department called the Baseball and Softball Development Department. And I think, there were, it had always been on our radar, but I think the formation of this department, I think there are a couple of people at MLB that are very into giving opportunities to everyone. So not just the boy players, the baseball players who are boys, not just the softball players, but everyone, including the baseball players who are girls. So I think that formation of the department was really a big deal. And I think, in general, I think, MLB has gotten more progressive over time, and realizing that there are groups out there that have existed and haven't necessarily gotten their due. So I think, we are making up for some lost time. Hopefully you guys see that. Hopefully you guys see it in our programming. We're out there in 5 different cities already this year. And this was pre-pandemic. I mean, this was in January and February. We went to San Francisco, LA, Chicago, New York, and Florida. And we really, that was a very conscious decision, because we wanted to get out there in your communities to really see what was going on girls baseball wise. And to see, not everybody knows that MLB is, more involved in the girls baseball scene. And not everybody knows that they can apply to our programs. So we wanted to make sure that we got out into some different areas, so that people would see us, and people would now start to recognize that, we are trying to provide opportunities to you all.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good question, Maggie. The next one's going to be coming from Athena in Alaska. Athena?
Hi, I'm Athena. I'm 15 and I'm from Anchorage, Alaska. And my question is, do you think a women's professional league, like the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, could be possible today, and how would that work?
So I do think it's possible. How it would work is going to take a lot of work. I think it's going to take a lot of thought. I think the first step, though, is some of what we've been talking about here today, which is that a lot of more people have to know that there are baseball players who are girls. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing right now. I think the more that people know about it, I think the more that they will, guide whomever is close to them to play baseball. I think that once that happens, and there's more of you that are playing, there are going to be more leagues, and and everything starts from there. I think once that happens, I think talent gets better. I think maybe not so many girls will play. Will decide to play softball, or will be guided to softball, but may instead play baseball. And then from there, I think the talent gets better, and then I think it becomes a lot more interesting. But how it works at this point, I don't know that we know that. But I think again, I think if MLB keeps pushing, and you guys keep pushing, right, and your parents and your friends keep pushing, and we get more kids playing, more girls playing, I think we just get closer to that end goal of a league.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we've got another question here coming from Miriam, who is also from the Chicago area. Miriam?
Hi, my name is Miriam. I play on an all-girls baseball team called the Humboldt Park Gators, and my question is, do you want to be the commissioner of baseball? How can you make that happen? How can we all help?
Oh, I think so. Remember I talked about, not necessarily getting too far out ahead of myself. I think that's probably one of these scenarios. Honestly, in terms of being commissioner, I haven't really thought about that. I think my heart is still into being a general manager of a major league club someday. I I truly love being with a team. I love the competition. I love being around the guys every day, the players and the coaching staff. I love at the end of the day, you get a win or a loss and you know how you played, you know where you need to get better, or you have a pretty good idea where you need to get better. And every day you're working so hard for that team to just post another win. So that's really where my heart lies. So I haven't thought necessarily about getting to the commissionership, but maybe after I become a GM, then we'll move on to commissioner. How's that? Or actually, if somebody wants to become a commissioner, then they can hire me. I like the sound of that too.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Miriam.
Great question, Miriam. All right, and we are going to have the next question come from Leah. Leah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Leah. I'm 13. Where do you look for job openings when looking for a job oriented around sports, revolved around sports?
So I can specifically tell you in baseball, you should write to all 30 major league organizations. And then in addition to that, you have all these minor league clubs all around the country. There's anywhere from 120 to 160 of them. I bet you didn't know that, right? I mean, that's a lot of clubs. That's, when you add in the big league clubs, you're going from 150 to about 200 different organizations that you could potentially work for. So there's, if you just look on the minor league baseball website, they'll tell you all the different clubs. In terms of other sports, I'm not as well versed in that, so I'm not going to speak to that. But we also have something called the winter meetings. That's where a lot of job seekers go. And that's where you can actually talk to different executives of different major league and minor league organizations. This is the meeting that takes place in December. And it goes from city, we have it in different cities each year. And so we have a lot of kids who are in college make the trek out to wherever we are, Nashville, Las Vegas, San Diego, and they come talk to executives. They apply for internships. They get interviews. That's where a lot of these interviews happen. And so that's what I would say. One thing I do want to tell you guys about, because there are a lot more jobs in this that have opened up over the last probably 7 or 8 years. And actually, when I was with the Dodgers, we started the first video department, minor league video department ever. And we had each of our minor league clubs filming and charting every game. So videotaping and charting every game. And so that gave us 6 more interns per year, per season. And now I don't know if every single club does it, but many of them do it. So being a video, we call them video coordinators. Being a video coordinator is a great way to get your foot in the door. And so what these coordinators or interns do, they film every game and then they chart every game. And we have a program, or the clubs have different programs, but there's probably 2 or 3 of them where they attach the video to the data, right? And so if you tell the computer, okay, I want to see every 2-0 fastball that Clayton Kershaw threw to Bryce Harper with runners on second, it could pull up all of that data, tell you what happened in that particular situation, and then it'll organize all the video for you right there. So the Dodgers started that, and now just about every single club, major league club, has those video internships. So that's a great way, particularly if you've played most of your life and you know the game really well. Those are great internships to get.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Great. Our next question is going to be coming from Marika. Go ahead, Marika.
Hello, so I'm Marika. I'm 19. I'm from Canada. I think we met at Grit. I was just kind of curious. I'm in college right now playing men's baseball. How do you get seen as a female baseball player by organizations?
By big league organizations for the draft you're talking about?
Yeah, potentially.
So where are you going to school?
I'm going to Riviera University in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Okay. So, I would try and find out who the area scout is for different clubs. And, these guys, they work, mainly on word of mouth and recommendations. So, so it's not that easy sometimes. But have you talked to your coach about getting seen?
No.
Okay, so I would start there because your coach probably has his own network that he can definitely tap into, and then I would say anybody that you know who knows a scout that can make a recommendation for the scout to come see you is going to be really helpful. It's hard, and a lot of kids run into this where they're trying to be seen, particularly if you don't go to a college that's really well known as a baseball powerhouse. It is difficult, but I would say start with your coach and see if he has any other coaches that he's friendly with that know scouts in your area. And that's the important thing too, is to try and get the right scout in your area. There are also, I believe there's a couple of scouting services that do work for clubs. And I can try and get you the names of those if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay. All right. I'll ask around a bit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Our next question is going to be coming from Ella. It's kind of a continuation from some of the things we talked about before, but Ella Grace from Hawaii, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ella. So my question was, okay, let me find it. I'm not really good at math. Like, I'm actually really terrible at it. And I was wondering if there are any areas you can think of in MLB that are good for people like me who aren't good at math, but have lots of baseball knowledge.
Okay. So there's lots of different, positions at MLB and with clubs. So, I can just tell you that baseball operations, is where many people want to be, right? Because that's where a lot of the action happens. That's where you build your team. That's, around the coaching and the scouting, etc. You don't have to be, if you want to be a scout, you don't really have to be good at math. But if you want to be in the baseball operations front office, it's generally a good idea these days. So again, there's nothing that stops you from being a scout or a coach and not being good at math, okay? But in terms of, there are other areas of major league organizations. There's public relations, there's sales, there's sponsorships, there's let's see, ticketing, there's marketing, there's many other departments that you can choose to be in, that really are with, that it takes for the major league organization to run. It would probably just be outside baseball ops, but there are so many jobs that you can get in baseball outside of the ops world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I know we only have a couple more minutes here. Our next question is going to be coming from Paloma. Go ahead, Paloma. Oh, Paloma, I think you're on mute.
I think she hopped off.
Oh, okay, then never mind. Then our next question, thanks for chiming in, Beth. I think the next question's gonna be going to you. Go ahead.
Oh, cool. Hi. So I'm Beth. I'm 20 and I'm from New Hampshire. So I'm currently playing still, involved with USA stuff, and with my college team. But I've been involved with Baseball for All as a player, coach, and kind of mentor, volunteering for BFA for almost a decade now, and really have loved seeing the organization grow over just the last couple of years and really start to take off. But I was just wondering how like women in my position can continue to try to grow the game and help get girls more involved and just provide more opportunities for them.
Gosh, I would say, you guys doing what you're doing right now has been great. And am I correct in saying that Baseball for All is growing each year? That's the way it seems to me anyway. I think, and I think Baseball for All does a really nice job of promoting the game, getting kids playing. I would say, one of the things that you guys should be doing, that you should do is, keep connected with MLB. We would love to hear ideas from you guys about how you think we can help. It's the landscape it can be tough. Really trying to, get everybody enthusiastic and on the same page. But I think, you guys are really doing a good job. I would say keep in touch with us. One of the things that, as I mentioned with Grit, that we're trying to do is to really show up in different communities. And this was the first year doing something like this, but next year we hope to add on a few more places. I'm not sure how many, maybe it's 3 to 5, but really get out there and have it be known that girls do play baseball. I would say another thing that we can do is particularly with social media, we need to get out there more. We need to be visible and really talking about the game. One of the things that, and I can only talk in my small world, but for each of the events that we've held, one of the most important things, and listen, I'm not much of a media person, but it really does serve a huge purpose, and that is to just shed some light on what you guys are doing, and how many kids really are playing and the caliber of the talent that's out there. So that's really been one of the things that I've tried to focus on for our events, is to get as much media out there as possible. And felt that by, with Grit, reorganizing Grit to be in different communities, that we could get local media out there. It's just, it's really just getting the word out there that this exists and that you guys are out there playing your butts off and are really good. I think, as we go forward, one of the other things that we're looking at is, not just girls baseball on the recreational or grassroots level, but how do we draw international attention to the game? And so World Cup has been on our radar a little bit. God, I would love to see, a a women's baseball event that is under the umbrella of the WBC. That would be really cool. So I would just say, stay in touch with us. Justine does a really nice job. Stay in touch with her. As much as we can just get it out there into the media, the better off, we're all going to be. I've talked to a lot of the women on the national team, and they're, I think one of their biggest desires is that we are not the novel story anymore, that we're not the novelty anymore, that we are just, girls that play, women that play, and that, we become much more part of the mainstream. I think that yes, I think that's a great goal. I also think that we have to promote it as much as we can, even if it's under the umbrella of being a novelty, just so that people know that this is what's going on. I mean, I think that's the most important message, if any, that we can promote right now.
Awesome, thank you.
Great question. On that note, we are just about out of time. I don't know if you have any last thoughts, Kim, before we hop off.
Yeah, guys, I would just say this. Never let people tell you what you can't do. That has served me well. And listen, it's going to be an uphill battle, but it's worth fighting. That is my message to you. You never could have, listen, I was a kid that came from Queens who played stickball in the streets. You couldn't have told me that someday I was going to be the assistant GM of the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay. You couldn't have told me that I was going to be the first woman to interview for a general manager's job in this industry. And so while you might not be able to see it right now, I think you guys just have to, I hope that you continue to dream big. And again, not let people tell you what you can't do. You have to show people what you can do. Okay?
Absolutely.
So I applaud all of you. I think you guys are awesome. If I see you at any of our events, please come over, give me a high five, and big time kudos to all of you for what you do, for what you stand for all the things that you believe in. And you have to know, you should know, I'm telling you right now, you have no bigger fan than me. I'm always on your side because I have a pretty good idea of what you guys go through. Okay?
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time and all your insight, Kim. I think your honesty and all of your words today have been such an inspiration for all of the girls and women who joined us today. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day and sharing all of your thoughts and insight with us.
All right, guys, you take care.
Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you next time.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Stay safe and well, everyone. See you all soon.